Part 90. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 897. Yushasai told Nuan that it would take some time to come back. Now he has found someone who looks similar to Kui Li. The specific person has not been seen yet. Now he is flying to South Korea from the Middle East. Hearing the word Korea, Han Chien smiled and said with a smile, "There's something interesting about this country." Yushasai said softly, "As long as you have money, there is basically nothing you can't do. Because this guy had plastic surgery in Korea, it's easier to find someone similar to him. Now this guy has organ failure due to plastic surgery, and he's about to get on a plane in about a week. We almost went back and told Nuan to stop making trouble. He is no longer a child." After hanging up the phone, Han Chien glanced at Wen Nuan, who snorted coldly, suddenly reached out and grabbed Han Chien's hair, ignored Han Chien's wailing, led him into the yard, and kicked Han Chien's calf hard. Said in a deep voice, "What's going on between you, Cai Qinghu and Yan Qingqing?" Han Chien covered his head and said in confusion, "What? Don't you know what's going on? I'm talking about children and marriage certificates. No wonder you asked me about the wedding not long ago. Xiao Hanqian, you are very clear now. Is a bowl of water the same? I asked you why you work so hard for Yan Qingqing shares, move the position to Cai Qinghu, and then go all out to play such a big game of chess for me to enjoy. Are you trying to make it up to me?" A picture flashed in Han Chien's mind. He said to make up for it, and then Nuan went berserk. Han Chien took a deep breath and whispered, "Where can I make up for it? You are my wife. I gave you the company that belongs to my wife. How can I make mistakes? Give Qingqing shares and move Qinghu's position. Aren't these the things we should do? Warmth, I should wash and cook for you, right? Shouldn't I give you a company?" This question confused Wen Nuan. He tilted his head and thought for a while, and it seemed to make sense, but then Nuan kicked Han Chien's calf again. "Let's not talk about this for now. Cai Qinghu will be the main palace. My little ancestor, I'm not the emperor. Where did the right palace come from? You guys can argue as much as you like. I don't want to be like this. Then it's like this. Qinghu is the people at the Yamen gate, I don't know what to say. People at the Yamenmen can't be mistresses, right? And I'm your ex-wife. No matter what I say or do, I don't know how to talk outside the world, so why make up for the wedding? Isn't there nothing we can do when we get married? And what about Yan Qingqing? You have a lot of questions. Your problems. And then you said I have too many problems, so I'll beat you to death." Wen Nuan was really a little angry. He punched and kicked Han Chien regardless of his head and butt. When he was tired, Wen ran to the kitchen to find food. Han Chien leaned against the window of the west room and looked at Wen in the kitchen and sighed. "You heat it up. How can you eat it when it's cold?" Wen Nuan held a fried chicken fillet in his hand and glared at Han Chien angrily. "If I knew how, would I eat cold food? If I beat you, you would definitely not give me hot food to eat." Han Chien grinned. "You're right." After saying this, Yan Qingqing was slapped on the back of the head and said angrily, "Here you go and warm up the food for Nuan. How many slaps will it take to break it?" Cai Qinghu nodded aside. When Han Chien hesitated, Tanjeo walked in front of Han Chien and cursed in a low voice that he was not a man. Then he walked into the kitchen and heated food for Nuan. Nuan hugged Tanjeo's neck and kissed him. The women who were in the three camps just now got together to take care of Han Chien, heated up the food, and took Tong Yao to the west room. Nuan sneakily stole a few bottles of beer. After listening to Nuan saying that he would have a rest tomorrow, Han Chien I know it's the weekend again. Early in the morning, when Han Chien got up and washed up, Tong Yao was already dressed and sitting in the living room. He said that there was a performance in the hobby class today and asked Han Qian where he was going. Could he see him off? After washing his face, Han Qian opened the door to the west room and looked at the room. The three girls who were sleeping soundly turned around and told Tong Yao to send him to the set. In the car, Han Qian complained about Tu Xiao, an old and dishonest person. The villa was waiting for him to come back for a meeting to discuss cooperation, and then construction would begin. The more he thought about it, the more unhappy he became, so Han Qian called for Tu Xiao. The old guy told Han Qian that he was in Hangzhou, so Han Qian could just make the decision on his own. Han Qian was so angry that he scolded Tu Xiao for being naughty. Tu Xiao laughed and asked Han Qian if he wanted to go to Hangzhou. The little girl was very lively and suddenly started singing nursery rhymes about driving. "Boss, too, are you going to introduce a girl to Han Qian again? Isn't it not good for you to do this?" Tu Xiao muttered that the signal was not good, and then hung up the phone. When Han Qian got out of the car, Tong Yao reached out and grabbed his collar, saying in a deep voice, "There are a lot of little girls on the set, please be more honest, or I'll get a rubber band to tie it up for you next time." Han Qian felt a cold wind blowing through his crotch and ran away. Now Han Qian doesn't dare to let himself be idle. Once he is idle, what comes to his mind is either nursery rhymes or Aunt G. It may be that spring is here, the season when all things revive. Regarding nursery rhymes, it depends on whether this monster has the wrong nerve. As for Ji Jing, Aunt G doesn't seem to be interested in this kind of thing. To say it was cold was a bit too much, but it wasn't much different. It's not good to force people to do things they don't like. The crew filmed some scenes that Wu Qingxi added for herself. The general plot is that Wu Qingxi had long felt that something was wrong at the party and lurked here in advance. The task of subduing the big cow fell on her, which was not the same as Han Qian. Dime relationship. After watching an action scene by Wu Qingxi, Han Qian clapped his hands. The gangster is excited to punch. Do you believe that Han Qian fell to death? There were only two people in Binhai who could tease Wu Qingxi, Han Qian and Cai Qinghu. Wu Qingxi picked up a bottle of mineral water and threw it at Han Qian. Han Qian took it and left. "Thank you, Police Officer Wu, for the reward. You haven't drank it, have you?" Wu Qingxi frowned. "Do you dislike me?" Han Qian smiled. "No, I'm afraid I'm pregnant. After all, everyone's body is different." "Ah. Where's the security guard? Get this guy out of here, hurry up. I'm so annoyed. Go, 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 go find Wei Ju and Zhang Gang. They are putting on makeup, so you can come over and give me some advice." Han Qian curled his lips and was led by assistant Wu Qingxi to the dressing room. Looking at Toad, who was sitting in front of the mirror in handcuffs doing makeup, Han Qian motioned to the makeup artist to wait for a while, took out a cigarette and handed it to Toad, saying softly, "Is it hard?" Toad smiled shyly and shook his head. Han Qian said softly, "Trying hard to show off. Did you eat with the crew at noon recently or something?" The makeup artist on the side laughed. "Aunt Zhang will come here every day to deliver meals at noon. She will prepare a lot of delicious food. We all will eat together, Mr. Han. We have discussed the issue of handcuffs with the prison guards, but they do not agree." Han Qian smiled lightly. "Just wait, so that you can rest assured and he doesn't have to be too nervous, Toad. Be careful when filming opposite Wei Ju. Don't hurt him. I have a good relationship with him. You can do it this time, okay? I'll go find someone to talk to you about commutation of your sentence." Toad nodded and whispered, "I know, otherwise I would have lost if we had fought that day. I have something to tell you, so please come closer." Han Qian smiled and put his ear to Toad's mouth, and Toad whispered, "Lin Mend was beaten inside and seriously injured. He seems to be dying." After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, A Huan. Chapter 898. Beaten. Han Qian stood up and waved to the people in the room. The makeup artist quickly led the people out of the dressing room. Han Qian and Toad were left in the room. Han Qian frowned. What happened? Toad lowered his head to smoke a cigarette and whispered. I'm not very clear about the specific things. Linmend wanted to change cells, and then he was transferred to our prison area for some reason. He was severely beaten last night. It seemed that his ribs were broken and inserted into his lungs. In the morning, the district is in chaos. Han Qian frowned and nodded, took out his mobile phone and called Cai King Hu. Lady Cai answered the phone in a daze. Crooked Mr. Xian. Han Qian was stunned and said softly. Madam, you didn't receive a call this morning. No, sir, what are you doing? I'm so sleepy. Yeah, it's okay. I'm telling you to get up and pee. Disgusting. Cai King Hu hung up the phone, and then Toad said again. I probably won't contact prosecutor Cai. I heard someone murmuring this morning that they suspected you had someone do it. I did ask the people inside to deal with Linmend, but I don't want him to die like this. I haven't tortured him enough. Han Qian frankly admitted that he was indeed looking for someone to torture Linmend, but this action really had nothing to do with him. Toad exhaled a puff of smoke and whispered. I suspect that one of our original group of people took action. They were sold by Feng Lun. Feng Lun was found by Linmend. This anger will definitely come out on him, but there is no evidence. If Linmend died. If he died in prison, someone would immediately track him down and check what happened in the prison. Then it would come out that I bribed criminals and prison guards to torture Linmend, right? Toad shrugged. Han Qian covered his head with his hands and squatted on the ground, frowning and saying weakly. Oh my God, ask me about it when you go back tonight. Toad sighed. I can't find out. No one can be trusted inside. Being found out about this will not simply increase the punishment, but I feel like no one is targeting you, Han Qian. I don't have a good mind, so I'm just being blind. Han Qian covered his head and said helplessly. Actually, it's not considered bribery. I just bought some cigarettes for the prison guards and saved some money for the people inside. I initially suspected that Lin Zongheng and Feng Lun did it. I called Feng Lun the day before yesterday or something. I want Linmend to die, but Lin Zongheng can't be ruthless enough to kill his father, right? Toad shrugged. Han Qian took a deep breath and said again. Forget it, do whatever you want. It would be better if Linmend died. I'll call Qin Yezu later and confess. Do you know which hospital Linmend is in? City Hospital, go there now. No, which part are you filming today? Wei Ju said today that he is in good condition and is ready to film a starring role. Let's go after seeing it. Han Qian walked out and told everyone in the corridor to go in and get ready. Han Qian kept thinking, and the more he thought about it, the more something was wrong. What was going on? After struggling for a while, Han Qian couldn't figure it out. While watching Wei Ju and Toad fisting each other while filming a rivalry scene, Han Qian's cell phone rang. Looking at Cheng Jin's number, Han Qian answered the call helplessly. Road. Do you believe me when I say I didn't do it? How capable I am. Can I reach into the heavy-duty area? Besides, I just spent 7,000 to 8,000 yuan to buy a phone. Just listen to me. Do you speak clearly? After almost admitting it to himself, Han Qian patted his chest in fear and Cheng Jin asked coldly. What's going on with you saving money for people in prison? Criminals are human beings too. I provide labor protection for the sanitation workers, and I save some money and eat some meat for the criminals. I think they can cooperate more when King Hu handles cases in the future. What bad intentions can I, Han Qian, have? Han Qian, you'd better be more honest with me. Just because I'm indulging you doesn't mean you can commit a crime. Please give me some peace of mind, little ancestor. You call me ancestor, what should I call you? Roll. Cheng Jin hung up the phone angrily. Han Qian chuckled. I made you angry first, so you stopped nagging in your ears. After hanging up the phone, he turned around to look at the filming scene. Weiju was already lying on the bed. On the ground, Toad looked innocent and explained to the director that he really didn't use any force. The director also saw that it was indeed Weiju's mistake. Han Qian threw the pack of cigarettes he had just opened to Toad and waved to him with his back. Let's go. If I have a chance to eat the food cooked by my aunt, I'll go find Lin Mend. As soon as he walked out of the filming hotel, Wu Qingxi chased him out, grabbed Han Qian's arm and asked with a frown. Why are you looking for Lin Mend? No, you can't go. Too lazy to explain to her, Han Qian continued to walk forward, and then there was a scene where Wu Qingxi grabbed a man's arm and refused to let go. The man looked indifferent and refused. At this time, the paparazzi and reporters guarding outside seemed like it's like discovering a new continent. Wu Qingxi ignored these people and screamed. Han Qian, wait for me. Come back. Can you stop holding me? I don't. You can't leave. Can you please stop forcing us to part ways? Then you drive me there, I'm not driving. Okay. I'm going to watch your every move. Are you humming sick? Do you care about me? After getting in the car, Wu Qingxi asked Han Qian to put on his seat belt. Han Qian took the sentence as a fart. The next second, Wu Qingxi rushed over and helped Han Qian put on his seat belt. Han Qian closed his eyes and took a deep breath. Said lightly. Believe it or not, there will be a headline tomorrow, when a popular actress and a mysterious man staged a seduction in uniform in a car. How will you explain it then? If you don't explain, the more you explain, the more confusing it will become. When there are more headlines like this, people who read it will be numb. Just sit tight. Wu Qingxi started the Ferrari and the accelerator roared. These paparazzi followed the car and continued to take pictures as if they were not afraid of death. Wu Qingxi was used to it, and Han Qian always felt a little uncomfortable. Mom and the others would ask again when they saw the headlines. Skull hurts. When they arrived at the hospital, Han Qian told Wu Qingxi to change clothes. Then Wu Qingxi unbuttoned and was about to take off her clothes. Han Qian said angrily. You are sick. I'm wearing underwear. Roll the calf and smash it. After scolding Wu Qingxi, Han Qian got out of the car and walked into the hospital. Not long after, Wu Qingxi caught up with him wearing a mask, grabbed Han Qian's arm and asked. Why are you walking so fast? You don't want to walk with me? Yes. I feel so ashamed. Han Qian. Although my appearance is not as good as Yan Qingqing's, and my figure is not as good as Ji Jing's, but you are not as tall as Warmth, your brain is not as good as nursery rhymes, and you are not as smart as Yeats. Han Qian, you are definitely a straight man. I can't be mean to you. Why? You want to steal your best friend's boyfriend. Wu Qingxi was speechless for a while. Looking at Han Qian's walking back, she had 100 thoughts of hugging him. In the end, everything turned into a sigh. Wu Qingxi followed Han Qian and called Cai Qinghu on her mobile phone. Knowing that Cai Qinghu was still sleeping, Wu Qingxi said angrily. Your husband-in-law has come to the hospital to see Lin Mend. Do you still have the heart to sleep? Lin Mend? He is in prison. Why is my husband going to the hospital? Xiaoloxi, please don't make trouble. I will sleep for 10 minutes and then go to find you. Cai Qinghu hung up the phone. Wu Qingxi took a deep breath, and then Cai Qinghu called back within a few seconds. Please help me keep an eye on my husband. Don't guard me and steal by yourself. Bye bye. Wu Qingxi was so angry that she wanted to throw her phone. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 899. Outside the ward, Han Qian was stopped. The police at the door did not allow Han Qian to enter. Niu Xiahua stood at the door and glared at Han Qian. Isn't this enough? Uncle Lin was tortured to this point, and brother Zongheng has become a wanted criminal. Han Qian, how long do you want to take revenge? Han Qian looked at the policeman at the door and said softly. What above means is still your opinion. The young policeman whispered. Brother Qian, how dare we stop you? It's what the higher UPS meant, and we specifically told you not to go in. Han Qian frowned. Why? You don't even think it was me who did it? I have nothing to do with it. Han Qian, everyone knows that you have been to prison and beat Uncle Lin. Moreover, Uncle Lin has been tortured since you went to prison, Han Qian. What kind of hatred makes you treat someone who has lost everything like this? An old man. Han Qian looked at Niu Xiahua in astonishment, then turned to the police again. Is Lin Men seriously injured? The young policeman whispered. It's very serious. We don't know exactly who did it, but we also know that it wasn't someone from the original prison area. Mr. Han, you'd better not go in. We really don't dare to let you go. Han Qian nodded and sighed. I understand, hey. If you don't want to save him, then don't save him. His being alive will prevent me from having breakfast, so that's it, I'll leave first. Since he couldn't see anyone, there was no need to stay. When Han Qian turned around, Niu Xiahua spoke again. Han Qian. You madman, you are a cold-blooded madman. Do you know how much harm what you do will cause to Uncle Lin and Zongheng? You will not let their father and son meet again. Han Qian curled his lips. He was not prepared to talk to this woman at all. At this moment, two familiar figures appeared in front of him. Yang Lan and Aunt Ji? Ji Zheng? What is she doing in the hospital? Niu Xiahua shouted angrily at Han Qian again. You robbed Zongheng's childhood sweetheart, his fiancée, and your company. Yes. Zongheng has done some excessive things, but you are still living peacefully now, but what about them? Han Qian, you are just a beast, a bastard. Han Qian waved to Ji Jing, and Aunt Ji showed a sweet smile to Han Qian, then rubbed shoulders and ears with Han Qian, walked up to Niu Xiahua, waved and slapped her. Niu Xiahua covered her face with a look of astonishment. Looking at Ji Jing, Han Qian turned around and said calmly to the two young policemen. My Aunt Ji doesn't like others touching her and is very resistant. The two young people who wanted to stop the fight stood there. They had no reason to sacrifice their jobs and futures for Niu Xiahua. Niu Xiahua, who was once a policeman, would definitely not be afraid of Ji Jing. When she was ready when it came time to take action, Ji Jing struck out like lightning and slapped her again. Niu Xiahua was stunned, her eyes were full of confusion, and then she rushed towards Ji Jing. Ji Jing looked at Niu Xiahua with disgust in her eyes. He took a step back, then raised his feet and put them on Niu Xiahua's chest. Ji Jing's height of 1.68 meters compared to Niu Xiahua, who was 1.64 meters tall. Although the difference was only 4 centimeters, the length of the legs was much different. Niu Xiahua hit the door panel, and Ji Jing got on. He took a step forward and pinched Niu Xiahua's neck, saying coldly. If I hear you scolding Han Qian in the future, I will slap you. You are blind because you like Lin Zongheng. My man is 100 times better than you think. Ji Jing let go of her hand, and then took out wet wipes from her bag to wipe her hands, one after another, as if her hand had touched some bacteria or virus. Han Qian was a little surprised, and the two policemen didn't expect that they all knew Jijing. The usually gentle and gentle Minister Ji was. Niu Ziahua stood up and looked at Jijing wiping her hands. She felt endless humiliation. She lost her mind and pounced on the unprepared Jijing. Snapped. Another slap in the face. Yang Lan stood next to Jijing and looked down at Niu Ziahua, and then another slap fell. Niu Ziahua, who had been slapped 4 or 5 times in succession, had lost the ability to think, and Yang Lan spoke coldly. If I hear you scolding Han Qian once, I'll find someone to punish you, you bitch. Then the two women looked at Han Qian at the same time. Han Qian trembled and said softly, "Shall we go?" Yang Lan and Jijing took Han Qian's arms and left, leaving behind Niu Ziahua, who was squatting on the ground and crying bitterly. The two young people looked at each other. Niu Ziahua definitely deserves to be beaten today. Others will give you face. It's because of your father's affection, but Han Qian is not even afraid of your father, so he is afraid of you. After walking out of the hospital, I realized that Wu Qingxi had seen Jijing and Yang Lan and told them that Han Qian was in the hospital. As for her, he has already gone to talk to Cai Qinghu about what it means to be a thief. Yang Lan waved to Jijing and said he had to take a step in advance. After she drove away, Han Qian looked at Jijing, Jijing looked at Han Qian, and then Han Qian took Jijing's hand and walked down the street. You surprised me today. Jijing lowered her head and whispered like a child who made mistakes. If you don't want to get the reputation of bullying Niu Ziahua, then let me do it. She complains about injustice for the man she likes, so I will slap her in the face for my man. Does your hand hurt? A little bit. Han Qian stopped, held Jijing's red palms in his hands, blew on them, and whispered. Why did you come to the hospital? Are you feeling unwell, or is Yang Lan feeling unwell? Yang Lan, my body, is gone. Jijing can't lie. Once she lies, she will stutter. Han Qian sighed softly and reached out to grab Jijing's bag. When Jijing resisted slightly, Han Qian raised his head and smiled. Let me guess. Don't, stop guessing. Then let me see. I don't want to show it to you. Aunt Ji, are you here for a prenatal checkup? As soon as the words came out, Jijing's face turned red. She lowered her head and hesitated to explain. Seeing this, Han Qian knew that he had guessed correctly. Something was wrong with Jijing when she was talking about the child to Yan Qingqing yesterday. In addition to the way he was hesitating today, Han Qian took a guess, but he didn't expect that he could guess right. Han Qian held Jijing's face and smiled, pecked the red lips and said softly. Want to be a mother? Jijing blushed and blinked at Han Qian. Yeah, but I won't fight with Qingqing and cause unnecessary trouble for you. Han Qian kissed Jijing's forehead again and said softly. Checking some went well? Do you want me to check too? Jijing smiled and shook her head. I just don't have the confidence. The two continued to walk hand in hand. Halfway through, Han Qian got addicted to cigarettes and told Jijing to wait for him here while he went to buy a pack of cigarettes. When Han Qian crossed the road, Jijing suddenly spoke. Han Qian. Aunt Ji called her name. Han Qian turned around suddenly, and Jijing put her hands to her mouth like a trumpet and shouted softly. I love you. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 900. At lunch, Han Qian and Jijing were sitting across from each other in a fast food restaurant. Han Qian sighed softly, while Jijing held her chin in one hand and looked at the nursery rhyme she was swallowing. It would be inappropriate to call her a light bulb, and she was here to cause trouble on purpose. Not right either. In short, when Jijing and Han Qian came back with lunch, she was already sitting here waiting. Jijing was helpless. Slow down. If it's not enough, I'll give it to you. Tong Yao picked up the chopsticks and took away the meat on Jijing's plate and said vaguely. It's time for you to lose weight. Jing looked at the nursery rhyme with a smile and said softly. Yeah minus. I listen to you, and then you eat quickly, and then get away after eating. The two of them quarreled just like when Nuan saw Yan Qingqing. Han Qian also didn't interfere, and they wouldn't ask Han Qian for help. Tong Yao bit the lion's head full of soup and said vaguely. What do you two have to do later? If you want to rent a room, I won't bother you. If you don't want to rent a room, please lend me Han Qian. Are you safe? Safety, sir. I just don't want Han Qian to go to the hospital and cause trouble for Lin Mend. Cai King He called me just now. After saying that, Tan Jiao turned to look at Han Qian. Han Qian tilted his head and looked confused. Then Tan Jiao's slap fell on his forehead. Jing was furious when he saw this. As a result, Tan Jiao waved his hand and slapped Jing's forehead. Jing he glared at Tan Jiao, then picked up a tissue and prepared to wipe his forehead. Tan Jiao suddenly stretched out his hand and pinched Jing's face. Jing's body stiffened instantly, and Han Qian couldn't help but say. Jing doesn't like being touched, why do you always hurt her? Tong Yao pinched Jing's face and pouted. You'll get used to it if you endure it. It's not like we have never lived together. If you didn't talk, I almost forgot. Why are you looking for Lin Mend when you have nothing to do? Have you lost your mind? Whether he is dead or alive has nothing to do with you. It would be a pity to die, but it would be better not to die. He is living like this to compensate Yates, your father, and others. Why did you go to the hospital to find him? To satisfy your cravings. Han Qian was speechless for a while, and the nursery rhyme continued. When you do something in the future, don't do it on the spur of the moment. Think more about it. While the nursery rhyme was talking, Jing stuffed a piece of red pepper into the lion's head. After the nursery rhyme had finished teaching Han Qian, he picked up the lion's head and was about to eat it. Jing smiled like a little fox. The next second nursery rhyme picked up the chili pepper and stuffed it into Jing's mouth. Eat it yourself. Jing was stunned and didn't react for a while. When she came to her senses, her mouth was already full of spicy food. Jing is from the north and can't eat spicy food. Tong Yao is from Sichuan, so chili peppers are commonplace for her. Han Qian hurriedly went to get a bottle of Lulu. Tan Jiao looked at Jing and pouted. Be smarter next time you do something bad. I can eat chili peppers as food, and I'm both good at cooking and fun-loving. Jing glared at nursery rhyme with a red face. This time Han Qian spoke. The gentle Aunt Ji would definitely not be able to fight against the chicken thief nursery rhyme, and Han Qian never got any advantage in her hands. I calculated it when I was free. I slept with nursery rhymes 3 times, and I spent almost 3 million to get in. 1 million at a time. She may be the most expensive woman in the world. After leaving the door, Tan Jiao handed Han Qian the car keys. Go. Drive. The car. At this time, Jing, who had not yet calmed down, was about to pick up the car keys. Tong Yao threw the keys directly to Han Qian, put his arms around Jing's neck, and said angrily. You are the one who spoiled Han Qian for his bad habits. He is not your son. Get in the car and stay there. Tong Yao arbitrarily threw Jing into the car, and the 2 women sat in the back seat. Han Qian whispered 2 words while driving. Make trouble. The voice was very low, but the nursery rhymes could be heard clearly. He leaned in the back and sneered. Jing is in danger these days. Can you 2 think of safety measures? Han Qian, please stop being provocative. If Jing is pregnant now, you will die worse than Zhao Sier's father. Jing curled her lips unconvinced, and then Tong Yao hugged her shoulders, and Tong Monster raised his head and sighed. Poor little Jing, you have no advantage at all competing with those 3 monsters. Honey, be good, we won't compete with Yan Qingqing. How can you, a scumbag with only 5 combat power, fight against those 3 Super Saiyans? Be good and obedient, my sister will take you to watch the fun. Ji Jing leaned on Tong Yao's shoulder and looked out the window. Han Qian sighed softly. Just as he was about to speak, Tong Yao's knees hit the back of the chair and he frowned. You dare to say I'm sorry, I will take off your bra and strangle you to death right now. Damn it, she's so big. Han Qian was stunned. He really wanted to say sorry. He didn't understand the harm in saying these 3 words. Anyway, Han Qian is obedient. I drove to the nursery rhyme school. The school was still very lively on weekends. Maybe it was just after the performance. Parents on campus gathered together in 2s and 3s to chat. When they saw the nursery rhymes, these parents came over to say hello. Ji Jing hid behind without getting out of the car. Han Qian actually saw a few acquaintances when he got out of the car. I can't tell them their names, but the nodding relationship at the Yamen gate or on some occasions was because they took the initiative to show their goodwill, and Han Qian nodded. It should be said that all the reputable people in the city know that Han Qian is a playboy. He can count the girls around him on one hand. Principal Tong is also a first-class beauty. Doesn't he appear with Han Qian? People will be surprised. The mothers chatted with nursery rhymes about the students, while the fathers approached Han Qian and handed him a cigarette. Han Qian smiled and shook his head. No more slapping. The management has been stricter recently. How about it? Do your children feel uncomfortable at school? This school is run by nursery rhymes. I only come here a few times a year. If your children have something to do, you must contact them in time. Nursery rhyme communication. We didn't set up this school to make money, we just wanted to give our Binhai children an opportunity and a platform. Yes, there are many hobby schools in the city. We are just rough people and don't understand these. If the children say they like it here, then I will get to know it. Han Qian smiled and nodded. During this chat, I got addicted to cigarettes. I took out the cigarettes I just bought. Before I could take out a cigarette, Tanjeo whispered to the mothers of the children around me to wait a moment, then strode towards Han Qian and took away Han Qian's hand. Then he turned around and returned to the mothers to continue chatting. Han Qian sighed, and the father of the children laughed. Young Master Han and Principal Tong are a good match. Han Qian smiled bitterly and shook his head. What's your name, Mr. Han? What era are you in? Names are for people. Just call me Han Qian. If you're not used to it, just call me Xiao Qian. Don't listen to the rumors outside. I'm from a rural area and I don't say that much. It's good to be casual. Everyone chatted happily for more than an hour. After the teachers summarized the performance, the children had a hard-earned rest and the parents said goodbye. Han Qian received a call from the repair shop. Cayenne fixed. When they heard the word Cayenne, Tong Yao and Ji Jing's eyes lit up, and Han Qian whispered into the phone. I'll pick it up tomorrow. After speaking, 2 hands grabbed Han Qian's arms, and Tong Yao whispered. Go now. Where did you get Cayenne? Han Qian took a deep breath, covered his phone and whispered. Are you okay this afternoon? It's okay, brother Qian. Han Qian sighed, and then Ji Jing whispered. Big nephew. I want to drive a Cayenne, I don't like BMW anymore. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, A Huan. Chapter 901. They say men like cars, but Han Qian doesn't. Women are not very interested in cars, but these 2 girls seem to like the Cayenne. Tanjeo was a little surprised when he saw the cost list of repairing the car, so he left the Maserati for maintenance. Ji Jing drove, and Han Qian was pushed into the back seat. The co-pilot's nursery rhyme looked at the list and frowned. What did you do to the car? The repair cost is more than 100,000. I finally know why you didn't come to pick up the car. Han Qian took out a cigarette from his jacket and whispered. When we were in Beijing, we hit two supercars. I don't know how Su Hongchang got it back. Enemies. Are more than 2 million objects colliding. Didn't I give you more than 1 million just as I said? Isn't it just a car crash? If you like, you can drive it, and give me the Maserati. Tong Yao chuckled, but Ji Jing didn't say a word and drove the car home directly. Then she handed the BMW key to Han Qian and said softly. The BMW is a gift to you, and the Cayenne is mine. Cai King Hu's car, right? I won't change the name. Han Qian and Tong Yao had question marks on their heads. Han Qian smiled and nodded, but Tong Yao quit and glared at Ji Jing. Then Han Qian hugged his neck and stuffed him into the BMW, and then shouted to Ji Jing. My mother called me just now and asked me if I could eat it at home tonight. The old man got half a sheep somewhere. Are you going to buy some side dishes? Pick up Sister Yang by the way. Ji Jing smiled and nodded, and Han Qian got in the car and went to District 8. In the car, Han Qian said softly. You like Cayenne? Nursery Rhyme curled her lips and shook her head. I don't like big cars, but Ji Jing does. I'm too embarrassed to take her away from her. Enemies. You'll be happy to have someone as good as me assist you. Han Qian smiled. Yes. I'm so happy, Nursery Rhyme. Shut up, I don't want to listen to you anymore, I'll listen to some music. This sentence almost made Han Qian angry to death. As for the reflex arc of Nursery Rhyme, Han Qian really didn't understand what was thinking in her head. Listening to the babbling English song, Han Qian couldn't help but open your mouth. Can you understand me? Then he was greeted by a string of cordial greetings in English, and Han Qian smiled. I don't understand, are you angry? Tong Yao curled her lips and smiled. Pigs don't know that they won't survive the New Year's Eve. It's good. Keep up the mentality. Han Qian stopped talking again. After picking up Little Toucan and Li Jiai held hands and got into the car. When he saw the Nursery Rhyme, Little Toucan reflexively let go of Li Jiai's hand and whispered. Teacher Tong, you are here too. Tong Yao turned to look at Xiao Toucan and frowned. How long has it been since you went to school? Just now I scolded your uncle in English and he was complacent because he didn't understand. Do you also want to be illiterate? Wait until Monday to suspend your schooling. Then you go to my school and I will educate you in one day. 2 hours of class. Ah. Teacher Tong, I'm not learning that stuff. Xiao Tucan's face was full of pain, and Han Qian smiled. Jiai, scold her in English. Li Jiai nodded seriously, turned to look at Xiao Tucan, and smiled. Love you. Han Qian was stunned for a moment, then took a deep breath and laughed. You deserve it. Let me show off your face, right? Han Qian, I finally discovered that you really owe it. After finishing his words, Han Qian stepped on the brakes, took a deep breath and said calmly. Get out of the car and have a fight before going home. You've been quarreling with me all the way. Brother, come on. Nursery Rhyme pouted. Xiao Toucan, don't think that Han Qian can hurt me and you don't have to go to school. I'm standing here. Do you think Han Qian dares, huh? Han Qian, you bastard, don't drag me, I'm with you, you fought hard. Han Qian dragged Tong Yao out of the car, squatted on the ground, held Tong Yao on his legs and slapped her twice on the buttocks. Little Toucan lay on the glass window facing Han Qian. Uncle. Weevu. Li Jiai covered Toucan's mouth and whispered. The relationship between Teacher Tong and my uncle is not clear. Nothing will happen to Teacher Tong, and nothing will happen to my uncle. But you are different. If Teacher Tong punishes you, your father may feel that he agrees with it. Little Toucan put his arms around Li Jiai's neck and said softly. Aren't you going to protect me? Then don't seek death. Li Jiai, when will you stop being straight? Aren't you worried that I'll flirt with you? Ah! Uncle, Li Jiai is too straight. Little Toucan was furious, and Nursery Rhyme, who was also furious, said through gritted teeth. Isn't your brother-in-law a straight man? Han Qian, please remember how many times you hit me. Snapped. Brother Qian, I know you are wrong. Why? Han Qian was stunned. Tanjio got up and ran, opened the driver's door and said angrily. Baby, I'll kill you. Then he saw Han Qian running on the road, with Tanjio following closely behind him in a car. As soon as Han Qian stopped, Tanjio started honking the car horn, and little Toucan leaned on the back of the chair and shouted. Teacher Tong, come on, let my brother-in-law exercise. Look, he has gained weight. There are a lot of water guns at my uncle's place. You must take them next time. Nursery Rhyme sneered. I will tell Han Qian what you said. Teacher Tong, please continue playing with my uncle, while I go to write. Li Jiai couldn't help but laugh. Come, let me tutor you. Little Toucan glared at Li Jiai, and Tanjio turned to look at the two children. Then when he was about to chase Han Qian, he found that this guy was already standing at the entrance of the park, waving to Tanjio and shouting. Haha, if you are careless, I will jump. After saying this, Han Qian turned around and grabbed the railing of the door with one hand and jumped up. Plop. After not exercising for too long, he overestimated his height lifting skills and underestimated the height of the railing. Han Qian lay on the ground, and Nursery Rhymes opened the car window and shouted softly. Sir, you look so ecstatic when you dance so hard. Do you want one? I'll rub safflower oil on you at night. Han Qian stood up holding onto the railing, shook his head, and replied with pride. I'll give you a chance to come over and help me go back. Bye-bye. Nursery Rhyme driving a car, riding a horse with flying colors. The BMW disappeared at the end of the street. Han Qian quickly squatted down and covered his waist. This pretense was really not smooth enough. When Han Qian wanted to smoke, he found that the cigarette had been taken away. Then when Han Qian wanted to buy cigarettes, Qian was stunned, stood up, pointed at the end of the street and roared. Nurse Rhyme, I'm going to hum your grandma, but you stole my wallet and cell phone. In the car, the co-pilot kept Han Qian's wallet and mobile phone, humming Nursery Rhymes and shaking his head. How to describe your mood at this time? It's very pleasant. When Nursery Rhyme drove home, little Toucan got out of the car and ran away. Grandma Teacher Tong bullies me, you make the decision for me. Little Toucan didn't dare to hug Qian's mother too hard. Little Toucan was naughty, but very measured. Qian's mother touched little Toucan's head and smiled at the Nursery Rhyme. What happened? Nursery Rhymes are powerless. She hasn't gone to school for a long time. I was worried that she would become illiterate, so I sent her to my school. I gave her extra classes. I came to you to complain. Qian's mother smiled helplessly, took little Toucan's hand and said softly. I'll discuss it with your teacher Tong later. Can we study 4 days a week? Grandma, it's only 2 days. Little Toucan was still acting coquettishly. Li Jiai carried 2 small gift boxes into the house, then walked to Qian's mother and whispered. Grandma, how about just 2 days? I'll take her to your home to stay with you for the remaining 2 days, and then I'll give her extra lessons. Do you think I'm disturbing you? Jiai is a really lovable child. Qian's mother is very bored at home. The old man won't let her do anything. Apart from watching TV all day long, she just talks on the phone with a few girls. Now 2 children have come to compensate her. She very happy too. Little Toucan seemed a little reluctant and muttered softly. No makeup lessons. Li Jiai pouted. Then I will scold you in English from now on and change all my cell phones to English. Li Jiai, I'll chop you up. Grandma, I think it's good to make up for it 7 days a week. I'm going to help Grandpa Toucan, please don't grind on Grandma, Grandma is not in good health. Go away, I understand the importance. Grandma, let me tell you a story. My uncle and teacher Tong had a big battle just now. It was like, Grandma, this little cotton padded jacket is so beautiful I can try it. Will little Toucan be left in the cold? That's absolutely impossible. Where there is little Toucan, there will be no silence. Chiener's mother can talk by herself even if she doesn't talk. Little Toucan is very talkative, but she doesn't know what stage fright is. This is also related to her living environment. From birth, she has been surrounded by a group of vicious people. Toucan's growth can be said to be the most princess among all the people Han Chien knows. If compared, Cai Kinghu may be comparable to her, but some are worse. When little Toucan said she was going to the mountains to hunt tigers, Tu Xiao would carry her there. Tu Xiao doted on little Toucan to the core, otherwise he wouldn't have fallen in love early without even giving him a lesson, calling her a precious girl. Everyone saw how domineering and bastard Tu Xiao was, but no one saw his most manly side. For the sake of little Toucan, Tu Xiao could make Qiqui wait for more than 10 years without making any promises. Not all men can handle it, but Tu Xiao can. He was worried that his daughter would feel uncomfortable and be bullied, so he put it off for more than 10 years. When it got dark, Jijing came over with vegetables, and Chiener's mother held her cell phone and listened to Xiao Baibei's milky explanation. Grandma, I have a cold and I can't see you. Baibei, good boy, let your mother bring you some meat to eat later. Well, Grandma, you are the best. In the evening, the old man's braised mutton was served on the table. He deliberately put a lot of green onions to cover up the smell. The old man was more professional than the chef in handling the ingredients. The reasons may be sad, but also a bit sweet. If you don't have the ability and can't take your wife to restaurants every day, then you should try your best to do better than what you do in the restaurant. Nuan mysteriously took a small bag of sweet and sour garlic, but she did not touch the lamb chops and lamb legs on the table. Tong Yao asked curiously. Nuan, what are you waiting for? Han Chien won't be back for a while. I'm not waiting for him. I'm waiting for something delicious. When the old man came in with the sheep head, Nuan had already put on gloves. She likes these weird things. When Nuan stepped forward and was about to break open the sheep's head, his hand was slapped in mid-air, and Han Chien frowned. No more pause. Wen raised her head and deflated Han Chien, who suddenly appeared. Han Chien broke open the sheep's head and found Wen's favorite piece of meat, put it on her plate, and then whispered to Yang Lan. Sister Yang, if you don't like stewed food, just wait a moment. My dad is probably going to get the lamb and scorpion hot pot. Then he looked at nursery rhyme and said angrily. Rub me with safflower oil at night? Otherwise I will fight you to the death. Han Chien walked all the way back. 8 kilometers. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 902. It was said to be half a sheep, but there were a lot of things on the table. Han Chien was holding a bottle of beer in his hand and holding a lamb chop in his other hand. He took a bite, oil and water dripped from the corner of his mouth, and Wen Nuan quickly stuffed him with one. Tang Xuan, Wen Nuan asked curiously. What are you doing? Gobbling it up. Han Chien raised his head and glanced at everyone, and found that everyone was looking at him. Han Chien swallowed the meat in his mouth with difficulty, took a sip of beer and burped, then glared at the nursery rhyme and said angrily. This lunatic threw me into Four Corners Park and took away my mobile phone and wallet. I walked back from Four Corners Park. Forget it, 8 kilometers. 16 miles. Can I not be hungry? Baby, pass me the chive flowers. The warmth did not move, nor did the nursery rhymes. Jing seemed to know that Han Qian was calling her. She spread a little chive flowers on a piece of lamb chop and handed it to Han Qian. Han Qian opened his mouth directly, and Jing took a deep breath and stuffed the mutton. It ended up in his mouth. Han Qian was so angry that he lost his ability to think and shouted while eating. Sister Yang, please don't pay attention to me. We are all a family. I am mainly angry because of the nursery rhymes. Nursery rhyme narrowed her eyes and smiled. How can I retaliate against you if you don't beat me on the street? You scolded me in English. You mocked me for not being able to understand English, and then you didn't understand. Who did you rely on? Also, I didn't let you go to the park, and you jumped over the railing yourself and fell, and you said, "Look, I'm jumping." After hearing these words, little Toucan couldn't help it and burst into laughter. Then it got stuck on the railing and didn't pass. Uncle, you are so handsome. Everyone finally understood that it was Han Qian and Tong Yao who were playing and getting angry. When Nuan smiled helplessly, picked up a clove of garlic, put it on Yang Ian's plate, and said softly, "If you eat meat without garlic, the flavor will be half as bad." Han Qian nodded. Sister Yang, eat more. Are you tired from slapping that stupid bitch during the day? Aunt Ji, eat more too. Yang Lan lowered his head and said nothing. Jing explained the matter in a low voice, and when Nuan shouted that there was definitely something wrong with this Niu Ziahua's head. How could someone think that Lin Zongheng was an innocent person? The dinner was very full, and they were all members of the family. Yang Lan was not polite. In the end, she and the old man drank some liquor, half a caddy each. Yang Lan left like a normal person. The old man and Han Qian saw them off, and Jing and Yang Lan left. Jing probably meant to stay at Yang Ian's house and go shopping together tomorrow. As for little Toucan, he stayed on the hot kong and slept with his aunt at night. The warmth and nursery rhymes were left in Qian's mother's room. 3 women and 1 girl chatted. Li Jiai and the old man lived together. Room. Han Qian is not used to sleeping in the same room with men, including old men. Sitting in the room with bunk beds, Han Qian stood in front of the mirror wearing a pair of underwear. His knees and hips were scratched. No wonder it hurt when he walked. Han Qian sighed, and then looked at the nursery figure reflected in the mirror. Han Qian said calmly, "Safflower oil is no longer good, it's for bruises and bruises." Nursery rhyme said lightly, "If the skin is not broken, it is not considered injured. You have to fight yourself, and you still rely on me if you fall, Han Qian. You are so unreasonable." Han Qian turned around and sighed. "If I want to be reasonable, can I fall into this big peach blossom forest, the gentle village? You see other girls having headaches every day, and I see you also have headaches. You don't dare to think about causing harm, for fear of playing with things and losing your morale." Tong Yao pointed to the bed and said calmly, "I'm not a thing. Don't play with me either. Can you please stop picking words with me?" Tong Yao treated Han Qian's wounds with band-aids and Yunnan Bio, and Han Qian lay on the bed and whispered, "Actually, this feels pretty good." "This is not good. You can't see your knees. Turn it over, right? Are you embarrassed? Han Qian, you haven't changed your underwear in a few days? Didn't you know how to change it without reminding you? Do you think I've been free lately? I don't have much time to sleep." Han Qian turned over, looked at the injury on his knee, and frowned. "You're too old to be more honest? Apply it yourself and I'll find underwear for you. Do you want to wash your feet?" Will you wash it for me? You can make an exception. After all, your foot pain today is still because of me. Han Qian chuckled and lowered his head to look at the wound on his knee. When Tanjeo walked into the room with a basin and squatted in front of Han Qian, when Tanjeo's hand touched Han Qian's feet, Han Qian grabbed Tanjeo's hand. Wrist, gently shook his head. Nursery rhyme laughed. You only get one chance. Han Qian shook his head again. Looking at Han Qian's tough attitude, Tong Yao shrugged, and then Han Qian spoke. How about you change my underwear? Go to hell. Tong Yao grabbed Han Qian's feet and pressed them into the basin. Han Qian yelled angrily. When Tong Yao left the room, she held a pair of underwear with 2 fingers. Tired from walking, Han Qian fell asleep before 9 o'clock. In the middle of the night, someone came to cover him with a quilt. Han Qian vaguely knew that someone was there, but he was too lazy to open his eyes. In his dream, he dreamed of Lin Zongheng and Kui Li, but what exactly did they do? Han Qian couldn't remember clearly. What Han Qian fears most now is the morning, because opening his eyes every day is like opening a blind box, not necessarily a surprise or a shock. Then, to Han Qian's concern, the blind boxes were out of stock. The quietness of the past few days has made Han Qian a little uncomfortable. He stayed at home and played chess with the old man. At the end of the day, he counted the chess pieces and was almost slapped. In the end, Han Qian covered his shoulders with a grieved face and went to his mother to complain. I have never seen an old man so shameless. He only killed a bear commander every time. Han Qian also discovered that the old man was proficient in everything except making money, while his son had not inherited any of his father's abilities. Apart from making money, he was only half satisfied with everything else. After playing with the old man for 3 days, Han Qian didn't win even once. Finally, Wen Nuan couldn't stand it any longer and squinted at Han Qian and said with disdain. Good food and fun-loving. Han Qian said angrily. You know shit. Come on, let's play backgammon. If you lose, I'll slap you. Han Qian leaned back and curled his lips. Do you dare to slap me, or do I dare to slap you? Wen Nuan snorted. Wen Nuan knew that Han Qian was right. You can quarrel with Han Qian, you can also use physical force, you can pinch medicine, twist, or kick him, but there are only 2 things that you can't do. First, you can't make Han Qian kneel down. Second, you can't make Han Qian kneel down. You are not allowed to slap him. Han Qian is very taboo about slaps. He can bear the slaps from his elders, but for a few girls, he can indulge them in riding on their necks, but he will not accept slaps. Just when Han Qian felt like mushrooms were about to grow on his head, Yates called. Mr. Han, we arrived at Beijing Airport at 9 in the morning and Binhai North Station at about 11 o'clock. We don't have a car. I see. After hanging up the phone, Han Qian whispered to Nuan. Remember there is a noodle cellar at North Station? Do you want to go to eat noodles? I'll pick up Su Hongchang and the others by the way. Consider adding an egg. It's not like you don't have money. Han Qian, you have to remember one thing. I will never pay for our meal, just like you won't accept my slap in the face. Do you understand? Han Qian smiled. The final stubbornness. After saying these words, Nuan's expression changed, he looked at Han Qian coldly and frowned. Little Han Qian, did I give you a smile? What? Do you think I can't clean up the women around you? The last one? Stubborn. You insist on me crying, making trouble, and hanging myself in front of my mother? If you don't want to, be honest, I haven't asked you about the Cayenne yet. Go warm the car. Han Qian stood up and lowered his head. Right. If you dare to say I'm sorry, I'll hit you on the head right now. Han Qian ran away. He was curious. Why don't girls like to hear I'm sorry? Why? After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, A Huan. Chapter 903. Braised chicken head, deep-fried sides, a bowl of handmade noodles, warm. Pick out the coriander leaves one by one and put them in Han Qian's bowl. This girl is really easy to feed and eats everything. There was not a single noodle left in the 6 yuan bowl of noodles. He was holding a toothpick in his mouth and patting his belly as he looked at Han Qian. Little Han Qian, I discovered something after eating. Han Qian lit a cigarette and smiled. Find out that you become smarter after eating enough. Yes. I suddenly wanted to understand something. Yesterday, Yanhu said that he would not marry you. I was quite happy. Now that I am full, I have figured it out. You gave me half of your enjoyment, not for me at all. It's not to compensate me, but it's right to say that you like me, but it has nothing to do with liking me. You are just trying to silence my parents. Huh. Han Qian was slightly surprised. He put his hands on the table and leaned forward. As a result, the 2 tassels of his sweater hat fell into the soup bowl. Seeing that the white tassels turned yellow, Han Qian took a deep breath and he stood up and wiped Sushui with a tissue. Nuan looked up at Han Qian as if nothing had happened and whispered in a low voice. I'm still thinking about it. You never tell your plans and promises in advance, but you told Lao Wen in advance about your plan to win Changxiang. Xiao Han Qian, you are quite sinister. Han Qian lowered his head and said softly. You're wearing white clothes like this, are you talking too much? These clothes are perfect. Don't wear white clothes anymore. Oh, just tell me if my guess is right. Will you wash my clothes when I get home tonight? I may not have time in the evening. I will probably be busy with Kui Li's affairs these 2 days. You can save the clothes. I guess I have to save a lot at home now, right? How long have we not been home? It's been a week, and there's no one popular at home. It's so lively here at Mom's house, and you still don't nag me. Then go home tonight. Husband. Han Qian held Wen Nuan's hand and left the simple shop. The 2 of them drove to the parking lot of the station. Han Qian lowered the window and shouted to Wen. I don't quite understand. They say mother-in-law and daughter-in-law are in trouble. Why do you want to go back to our mother's place just one day? Wen Nuan put on lipstick in front of the rear-view mirror and said calmly. That's because my mother-in-law is the best mother-in-law in the world. What about me? You. Scumbag, bah. Damn scumbag, scumbag and straight, bah, 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 bah. While Wen Nuan was complaining about Han Qian, he quietly closed the window. Not being heard means not being scolded. About half an hour later than expected, the 4 people appeared in Han Qian's sight. Yu Shisai and Yates got into the warm car. Su Hongchang smiled after getting in the car. Master, have you changed your car again? Han Qian threw a cigarette to Su Hongchang and smiled. The Cayenne was driven away by Aunt Ji. I didn't have a car, so I drove her BMW. Why is it so late than expected? Su Hongchang pointed at Kui Li in the back seat and curled his lips. His reason? He was discovered when he came out. The police from the station rushed over. After investigating the identity for more than half an hour, they determined that this Kui Li was not the other Kui Liu. Kui Li changed his name, Kui Jinkan. What? I understand, but it seems so Korean? They look very similar. It can be said that they are exactly the same, with a year difference in age, but this does not affect it at all. The most interesting thing is that this Kui Jinkan has a fiancé, ha 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 ha. Kui Li almost got married in South Korea. Assistant Yu and I both agreed that we got married in South Korea. Come back soon after getting married. Han Qian got interested, opened the car door and asked Su Hongchang to drive, then he leaned into the back seat and put his arm around Kui Li's shoulders, smiling evilly. How wonderful! I also have a foreign wife. Is she good looking? Is she handsome? Have you slept? Kui Li blushed instantly and stammered and couldn't say 1, 2, 3, or 4. Su Hongchang couldn't help it. The reason why they didn't get married in the end was because Kui Li didn't speak English, or because Yates communicated in Korean throughout the whole process. It was said that Kui Li suffered from sequelae due to his illness. Along the way, Su Hongchang was making fun of Kui Li. Kui Li was the stupidest and couldn't explain it. He could only lower his head and look at the passport in his hand. I didn't expect that when I returned home again, I would become an outsider. Han Qian smiled. Who told you not to abide by family rules? Be satisfied, not everyone can be as lucky as you. Has Feng Lun contacted you recently? Kui Li nodded. I contacted him. He said that we will be strangers from now on, and he will kill me when he kills you. If I have the chance, I will kill Lin Zongheng and Zhang Shengli. Young master, let me attack Feng Lun. I'm afraid. Han Qian smiled. Why are you thinking so much? Master, let me tell you, the boat will be straight when it reaches the bridge. You don't have to worry about my life or death. Just protect the girls around me. Are you too tired? If not, take a walk with me. Su Hongchang chuckled. Master, do you want to catch the wind for us? That's not tiring. I'll take you to meet a few people, and I'll tell Nuan to go back to my mother's place. After calling Nuan to tell him that he would not be coming home tonight, Nuan said oh, and after hanging up the phone, Han Qian said in a low voice. Go see Cheng Jin. Hearing this name, Su Hongchang and Kui Li froze, but neither of them spoke. Su Hongchang drove to the Yamanman, brushed his face and went straight into the hospital. Han Qian opened the door and got out of the car and tightened his tight pants. After taking 2 steps to find out that the 2 guys in the car had not gotten out of the car, Han Qian turned around and said. Should I ask you 2 to come down? It's a pleasure. Kui Li got out of the car before Su Hongchang, stopped and followed Han Qian. This guy was wearing a slim suit and looked a bit Korean. He led the 2 of them upstairs and opened the door of Cheng Jin's office. He smiled at the old man. Old boss Cheng, are you busy? Cheng Jin squinted at Han Qian and frowned. You didn't look for me but you still wanted to look for you. Did Ji Jing and Yang Lan beat up Niu Xiahua? Han Qian opened the door and walked into the office with the 2 guys. When he saw Kui Li, who was 1.9 meters tall, Cheng Jin stood up suddenly. He felt that this guy was very familiar. He had seen the photos of Feng Lun and Kui Li countless times. Cheng Jin can be sure that this guy is Kui Li. Seeing Cheng Jin's excitement, Han Qian smiled. I knew you would react this way. How about my new assistant who works part-time as a bodyguard? This head, this figure, this temperament. Cheng Jin looked at Kui Li coldly, and Han Qian chuckled. Let me introduce you, his name is Kui. Listening to Han Qian's long tone, Cheng Jin picked up his phone and threw it at Han Qian. Han Qian tilted his head and dodged, spitting out the last 2 words. Jinkan. Then he bent down to pick up the phone and continued. Kui Jinkan, a native of Seoul, South Korea, 28 years old. He did not serve in the military due to injury. Old man, your mobile phone is broken, old Su. Go buy 2 mobile phones for Mayor Cheng. How can each one see? Are you blind? Yes, I'm going. Su Hongchang turned around and left. Cheng Jin said coldly. No need. Su Hongchang turned to look at Cheng Jin and said seriously. It doesn't matter to me whether you use it or not. My young master asked me to buy it for you, so I will buy it. You have to use it too. After he finished speaking, Han Qian slapped him on the shoulder and frowned. Why are you talking so secretly? Su Hongchang turned around and ran away. Cheng Jin looked at Kui Li and said calmly. Get out. Kui Li turned around and left. He was much smarter than Su Hongchang and closed the door. As soon as he closed the door, Han Qian panicked. Cheng Jin turned over from the table, grabbed Han Qian's collar and carried the unruly man away. Got up and threw it on the sofa. Although it didn't hurt this time, Han Qian was beaten to pieces. Just as he was about to speak, Cheng Jin grabbed Han Qian's collar and punched him in the stomach, saying angrily, "Little bastard, what are you talking about? If you change your nationality or identity, you think I can't recognize you? That's right. You rich people can find ways to take advantage of loopholes, but today I will beat you half to death, so why don't you stand up to me?" On. Han Qian was scared and said quickly, "Old man. Father Cheng. Dear father, don't be impatient. I already told you that it's not Kui Li anymore. It hurts. Not Kui Li? Even if it's Feng Lun outside, can I hit you? I ask you, bastard, can I hit you? Okay. Then you are still nagging." Cheng Jin's hands pinched Han Qian's face like pliers. Kui Li in the corridor made a sound like a pig being slaughtered in the office. He was a little flustered and sighed helplessly. It seemed that Han Qian had indeed paid too much for him, and he felt a little guilty. Kui Li is very simple. In the office, Han Qian's left and right cheeks were blue. Cheng Jin said in a low voice, "Han Qian. Are you asking me?" "Don't." Han Qian spoke quickly and said again, "It has nothing to do with you at all. He is Kui Jinkan, just Kui Jinkan. I came here today because I was worried that your people would call the police when you see him around my girls in the future. He just looks a little bit alike. Do you think I'm stupid? Han Qian, let me tell you, after Kui Li was exposed, I was at most double regulated, and you are a repeat offender. I told you it's not Kui Li. Blood test. Damn it, why is Su Hongchang so slow? Do you have a mirror? I feel like my face is swollen." Cheng Jin snorted coldly, called Li Jinhai, then stood up, opened the door and let Kui Li in, saying coldly, "Don't think that I won't keep an eye on you if you change your identity. As long as you do something to leave the government, I will make you walk around Binhai without food." Kui Li said calmly, "You don't look like the mayor, you look more like a bandit leader. I don't need to be judged by you, Kui Li. Now in Binhai, I, Cheng Jin, have the final say, not Han Qian, Kui Li. You have to call me Kui Jinkan. Oh, you are very proficient in Chinese. Can I listen to you if you say a few words in Korean? I forgot Korean after I got sick. Not your native language. Are you a Chinese teacher? Am I taking a test?" Cheng Jin sneered, stood up, walked to Kui Li, and punched this guy in the stomach. Han Qian's eyes twitched as he watched, and Kui Li covered his stomach and whispered, "Is this a meeting gift you gave me? Let you know that I, Cheng Jin, am not a good-tempered person, and I don't care about my image. If you dare to hurt someone in Binhai, I will kill you if you don't become an official." Kui Li whispered, "I can't guarantee that if someone hurts my young master, I won't watch from the sidelines. This is my job, my proper job." After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 904. Li Jinhai and Su Hongchang came back together. Two iPhone 6 mobile phones were placed on the table. Li Jinhai looked at Kui Li and was slightly stunned. Then he saw Han Qian whose face was swollen. Li Jinhai curled his lips and said, "You deserve it. Now we know everything, but there is no evidence. You bastard are very good at changing the situation." Han Qian covered his face with his hands and said seriously, "You are talking about Shen Mo. I don't understand Mori Mo." Cheng Jin said angrily, "You still want to be beaten? You still want to stay for lunch? There are no bowls and chopsticks for you in the cafeteria. Get out." Okay, I'm leaving now. Tomb sweeping day is coming soon, do you think you need me to prepare anything? Han Qian really didn't think too much, and really wanted to ask them if they needed to prepare anything, but something went wrong when he said this. Cheng Jin and Li Jinhai rushed to Han Qian, Su Hongchang pulled Kui Li out of the office, and Han Qian kept wailing. When leaving, Han Qian limped downstairs. When he got in the car, he asked Su Hongchang to turn on the heater. Then he took off his clothes and looked at his body. The 2 band-aids he put on last night had been knocked off. These 2 old men, why did you suddenly go berserk? Su Hongchang probed in a low voice. Young master, do we need to go to the hospital? Han Qian looked down at his hips and said vaguely. Why go to the hospital? I'm already a VIP of the hospital, so I should be fine. Find a place to rub some safflower oil on me. These 2 old bastards are so cruel. Su Hongchang whispered while driving. Master, it's really your fault. Cheng Jin and Li Jinhai are still young, so you just ask people what they want during Qingming Festival. On Qingming Festival, people give things to the dead. Snapped. Han Qian slapped Su Hongchang on the head and said angrily. Do you know how much you know? I originally wanted to take Kui Li to meet some people, but now my whole body hurts. You take me home, and then you 2 can play by yourself. Kui Li can find a place to live by himself. No, I gotta go home. Han Qian was beaten really badly. Su Hongchang sent Han Qian to the bungalow. The old man watched Han Qian limping into the yard and frowned. Fighting again. Han Qian told the story once, and the old man squinted at Han Qian and said calmly. You deserve it. What do you want for Qingming Festival? Stay away from me. I don't have a son as stupid as you. 10 minutes later, Han Qian was lying on the bed in the West House wearing a pair of big shorts. When Nuan squatted beside the bed and looked at Han Qian's swollen face, frowning and feeling distressed. What do you want for Qingming Festival? I'll prepare something for you. Han Qian glared at Wen Nuan, who shrugged. Yates lay on the rocking chair, holding potato chips in his hand and said calmly. You will definitely get beaten if you take Kui Li to see Cheng Jin. The Yamanmen hate Kui Li and Feng Lun so much that they can't scratch Kui Li in front of them now. Who can you beat if you don't beat them? You may be right, but if you are beaten, it feels bad to be playful, and the second thing is, what should I cook for you on Qingming Festival? Han Qian gritted his teeth and said. Miss Yap, can you shut up? I'm eating potato chips. I can't shut up, Mr. Han. Yu Shisai poured safflower oil on her hands, and then gave Han Qian a full body massage. Over and over again, Han Qian couldn't help it, and gritted his teeth and said angrily. Why don't you leave it here to wipe the oil? After a while, all the oil you put on me can be put on the barbecue grill. Yu Shisai did not hide it and said calmly. After all, it's a rare opportunity. And it's in front of Wen Nuan, wow. Han Qian turned over and let me see if he has abdominal muscles. Han Qian turned over and patted his belly, saying softly. It seems that there are only 4 yuan left. Nuan. I remember that I still had 6 yuan in the second year of our marriage, right? Nuan nodded. Yeah. You had a really good figure at that time, with chest muscles and abdominal muscles. Now you are a bit corrupt. Yates on the side suddenly spoke. Nuan, do you have any photos? Mr. Han's old ones. There seems to be one, right? I took one of Han Qian's pictures when we went to the beach with my parents in the second year of our marriage. I'll look for it. When Nuan lowered his head and clicked the photo album in the space, and Yu Shisai asked curiously. Sexy. I'm just wearing swimming trunks. I have to look for him. There are very few photos of him, maybe 3 or 4. He didn't allow them to be taken. Then the 2 women came close to Nuan. Safflower oil was rubbed on the back, but no one cares about the front. Han Qian rubbed a little safflower oil on his injury and sighed. This person is different. He is living in front of you. Are you going to see the photos? After saying this, he realized that the three women were not paying attention to him. Han Qian sat up and said angrily, "Look at me." Yu Shisai turned to look at Han Qian, then looked at the photo and sighed. Sure enough. Time is like a butcher's knife. Han Qian, you were so handsome before. Why have you become so ugly now? Han Qian was furious and Ye Ji smiled sweetly. This is called not cherishing it once you have it. Han Qian stood up and pushed the three women out of the room. Just as he was about to fall asleep, the door was pushed open. Cai Qinghu jumped on the bed and pressed Han Qian under him. Looking at Han Qian's swollen face, Cai Qinghu whispered. "Ms. Sir. What's going on with Kui Li?" Han Qian frowned. "Where did Kui Li come from?" "That's Kui Jinkan." "Are you still lying to me?" "It's for your own good." "Be good, you guessed it right. I want to take a nap now. Do you want to go out or?" "I'm not going out." "Then you go down." Cai Qinghu turned over and lay beside Han Qian and whispered. "Ms. Nuan and Yu Shisai went out to buy groceries, and Yates is sleeping." "Hey, do you miss me?" "You don't, but I miss you." "Come on, Mr." Cai Qinghu suddenly opened the quilt, and then saw that Han Qian's body was all green and purple. Cai Qinghu said doubtfully. "Who did you ask to be beaten? Who called you, who beat you, can you sleep?" "Sleep." Cai Qinghu hugged Han Qian's neck. She was not sleepy at all, but Han Qian quickly fell asleep. Han Qian could sleep at any time, or he could not sleep for a long time. Cai Qinghu boredly took out his mobile phone and took pictures of Han Qian. Then I felt a little unsatisfied, so I got close to Han Qian's head and took a group photo. In the photo, Han Qian has his shoulders exposed, and it is obvious that he is not wearing a shirt, while Cai Qinghu has only one face, and his eyes are full of joy. No retouching, no modifications whatsoever. I opened QQ and posted a message. "I like your smile, your smell, and even more, I like to take a nap with you." After taking the photo and clicking send, Cai Qinghu threw away his phone and lay beside the bed looking at Han Qian. Cai Qinghu remembered the scene at the Swan Lake party. This man, regardless of holding a gun to Gao Deipeo's head, told him that he would never do anything in his life. Don't try to hurt her. This man risked his life for her, not once, not just twice. Although there were many women around him, he could not refuse them. Cai Qinghu also did not hope that Han Qian would refuse. If Han Qian could refuse them, he might also refuse him. There are advantages and disadvantages, but love outweighs the disadvantages. Cai Qinghu whispered. "It's the two of us who are fighting to get the certificate. Sister is the one who laughs last, husband." I don't like this title, so I gave it to Nuan. It's a wedding. I have no interest in it. I have to deal with a lot of guests. It's troublesome trouble. I've also given you some warmth. As for the child, I'm still a baby. On the way to buy groceries, Yu Shisai scrolled through his cell phone, and then he saw Cai Qinghu's post, and Yu Shisai curled his lips. Cai Huaping's photo was very ambiguous. When did she run over? Nuan curled his lips and said contemptuously. She probably knew about Kui Li and secretly filmed Han Qian. It's a group photo. Han Qian is not wearing any clothes. That's great. I don't know how many boys are going to get drunk all night again tonight. There were a lot of comments but few blessings. They were all asking who Han Qian was. Wu Qingxi made a smiley face, Yan Qingqing made a comment about a kitchen knife, and Ji Jing asked what happened to her face. Why are there so many people on QQ? Look at how good I am, there are less than 10 people in total. Warm, I recently heard a nursery rhyme tell Yates and the others about something. Han Chien and Cai King Hu might. The two of them will get the certificate. This is the pressure from the Yeomanman. If Han Chien resists, he will lose the support of the Yeomanman. I care about it. After all, Han Chien and I have already received the certificate. What about the wedding? As scheduled. Well played, miss. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, A Huan. Chapter 905. Recently, many people have noticed that Han Chien no longer acts alone. He is often accompanied by two people. One is Su Hongchang, whom everyone knows. He was the guy who confronted Lin Mend in the city and finally ran away in despair. The other one was a strange face, tall and with a serious expression. Someone was curious and went to investigate this newcomer. Korean. Will Han Go, an angry young man, be surrounded by Koreans? After walking into Changxiang with the two guys, Nuan held another group meeting and made some changes in the company's positions. Yu Shisai became the vice president of the company and concurrently served as the vice president of Changrong Group. No one here refuted this proposal, and the position of vice president remained vacant. Then Nuan dropped a bomb. The company's accounts are missing 400 million. Can someone explain this to me? No one spoke in the conference room. Han Chien laughed. Kui Li walked past Han Chien and walked to an old man. He put a small dagger against his chin and spoke indifferently. My young mistress is asking you something, are you deaf? The old man looked horrified, but did not speak. The knife in Kui Li's hand had already cut his skin. At this time, Han Chien laughed. Let me introduce you to him. His name is Kui Jinkan. He has a friend named Feng. As soon as the words came out, everyone in the conference room panicked. Nuan looked at the person with the knife pressed against his jaw and said coldly. There are many relatives and members of the Lin family here. I don't want to involve you in my personal grudges. Now I am investigating the company's affairs. I hope you can tell me now where the money has gone. The Wen party faction glared at the remnants of the Lin family. At this time, Kui Li also roughly distinguished the camps. He raised his head and glanced at Han Chien. The latter smiled and nodded. Kui Li grabbed one person's hand and pressed it on the table, then raised his hand. The knife passed through the back of the man's hand. Just as the man opened his mouth to scream, Su Hongchang rushed forward and stuffed the glove into the man's mouth. Su Hongchang said respectfully to Wen Nuan. Young lady. I've prepared lunch for you. It's in your office. Do you want to eat something first? Wen Nuan, who was already feeling uncomfortable, nodded gloomily, turned around and left the conference room with Chang Xiao. Seeing this, Han Chien stood up and followed Wen Nuan out of the conference room, leaving Su Hongchang and Kui Li to deal with these guys. Han Chien didn't want the remnants of the Lin family to stay in the company, but he didn't want to interfere with Nuan's management of the company, so he told Nuan to check the company's accounts, which would give him a reason to take action against these guys. Han Chien didn't have any purpose, he just wanted Nuan to be more relaxed when running the company. In the chairman's office, Wen Nuan held the lunch cooked by Su Hongchang's wife and said in a deep voice. Can you tell me next time you are ready to take action? You know I don't like bloody scenes. Han Chien sat on a warm chair, smoking a cigarette and laughing. Sooner or later you have to get used to it. As the chairman of the company, you have to act as a deterrent to them. They can't just dismiss you with a few words. It will be more troublesome for you to manage them in the future. Nuan opened the lunch box and sighed softly. Are you really relieved that Kui Li is staying with you? I see that he didn't hesitate at all. The knife clicked, it hurts just thinking about it. Don't think about it. Su Hongchang's wife has been busy preparing lunch for you all morning. I will use Kui Li for now. When it is completely safe, I will leave him with Ji Jing and Yan Qingqing. Why don't you leave it to me? Han Qian, you don't like me anymore. There are 365 days in a year, and I am by your side almost 300 days. What you say makes sense. If you want Kui Li to do everything for you, you can let Wu Siquan and Kui Li try. No. Xiao Nuan, please don't trick me here. You can eat slowly. I'll go back and take a look. Don't kill anyone. After the words fell, the door of the office was pushed open. Su Hongchang came back with Kui Li. Su Hongchang held a piece of paper in his hand. Kui Li was wiping the blood on his hand. When Nuan raised his head and looked at Kui Li helplessly and said lightly, I'm eating Chang Xiao. You take him to wash his hands. Oh. Kui Li turned around and left the office dully. Su Hongchang put the paper in front of Nuan and said with a smile, Young mistress, the matter has been found out. It was a group of people from the Lin family who caused the trouble. I took the initiative to deal with it without authorization. Please forgive me. Nuan took a big mouthful of glutinous rice with a spoon, took the note from Su Hongchang's hand, and said while reading it, Old Su, you don't have to be so humble. Han Qian treats you as a member of his family, so we are a family. Don't just be a slave to a slave. It's nice to call you Lao Su. It's cordial. The eldest young lady has a kind heart. After saying this, Han Qian clapped his hands and smiled. Old Su, you are right. You have discovered all the few advantages of warmth. When Nuan picked up the bone and smashed it at Han Qian. Han Qian chuckled, and then Nuan Wen said. I took a look. Are they going to fill this 400 million hole? Su Hongchang whispered. I have something to tell you. This hole is far more than 400 million. Many account books were destroyed during the last explosion. These people have some shares in their hands. Lao Su doesn't want to give them any chance. Use these shares to plug this hole. It happens that Miss Luo Shen from the capital is somewhat interested in these shares. It will be more beneficial for us to fall into the hands of the Luo family than to be in the hands of the Lin family. I called Vice President Yu just now and she has already gone to the court. Find someone to seize and auction the Lin family's property. Nuan handed the receipt to Su Hongchang, lowered his head and took another mouthful of rice, and said vaguely. How much can his shares be sold for? Su Hongchang turned to look at his young master. Han Qian frowned and smiled. Don't look at me. You can say whatever you want. Your young master, I am a typical henpecker. Su Hongchang muttered in his heart, lowered his head and said softly. Young lady, this is not a question of money. The Lin family's property is only 20 to 30 million, but the auction of these properties tells the whole Binhai that the Lin family has been eradicated by you. There is no longer a Lin family in Binhai. Enjoy, there is only one surname, Wen. Wen Nuan nodded thoughtfully, and then asked Han Qian if she was hungry. She couldn't eat any more, and Han Qian smiled. I don't eat leftovers. Piss off. Nuan scolded Han Qian, wiped his mouth, raised his head and looked at Su Hongchang, and said softly. Old Su, the grievances between you and the Lin family should be quite big, right? Su Hongchang said with a naive smile. When I was young, I was arrogant. After making some money, I became rich. I wanted to challenge the chairman of Changxiang Group. However, I was so miserable that I was afraid of death. So I escaped from Binhai. Then Feng Lun suddenly found me and told me if there is someone in Binhai who can take care of the Lin family, I will come back. Han Qian. Yes. I know that the Lin family is very powerful, and the young master is very powerful, but until now I know that the young master just extended a hand against the Lin family. Han Qian said with a smile. Old Su, I feel like you are praising me, but I have no proof. Nuan nodded and said again. Then tell me who is smarter, Han Qian or me. Su Hongchang scratched his head and smiled. At this time, Kui Li opened the door and walked in, lowering his head and saying. Feng Lun has commented on you, young mistress. Among all the women in Binhai, the only one who is wise or foolish is the little phoenix of the Wen family. Although Han Qian is a good horse, you are the one who leads the horse. Su Hongchang nodded. What Xiao Kui said is what Lao Su wanted to say. Nuan was happy after hearing this, stood up and walked around. I'm better than Han Qian, right? Ha 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 ha, I'm better than Han Qian, little Han Qian, ha 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 ha. Kui Li, you are still very good at talking sometimes. Your young mistress will take care of all your lifelong affairs. It's on my body. As for Lao Su, don't imitate your young master, do you hear me? Kui Li looked at Han Qian with eyes full of help. Su Hongchang looked at Han Qian, then scratched his head in embarrassment. Young lady, that's what you taught me. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, A Huan. Chapter 906. In the car, Kui Li asked Han Qian in a low voice if he could not get married yet, and Han Qian smiled. What's wrong? Is it so difficult for you to get married? Kui Li. Let me tell you something. If necessary, you may have to become an actor. About 10 minutes passed. In these 10 minutes, Han Qian analyzed the general layout and situation of the entire Binhai, Lin Ment, Kui Li, the Luo family, and the Lu family in the capital. Kui Li was confused and asked in a low voice. How did Han Qian remember these many people and the relationship between them? Han Qian did not explain to Kui Li. But Su Hongchang's forehead was already dripping with cold sweat, and he whispered. Master, I finally understand why Lin Mend lost unknowingly. Kui Li looked at Su Hongchang with very innocent eyes and whispered. Why? I went to school and got excellent grades. Why can't I understand what he is saying? Su Hongchang took a deep breath and whispered. Let me explain to you. The young master has already calculated what he will do today 3 years later. Do you understand? Kui Li shook his head, then turned to look at Han Qian. Can you tell fortunes? I'm your second uncle, just remember the tasks I asked you to do. Han Qian had a headache. Kui Li was so stupid. Su Hongchang also couldn't keep up with his rhythm. There were only 2 people around him who could keep up with the rhythm. Suliang and Yates. Suliang has no ambitions, and Han Qian is not easy to pull over. Yates. When thinking of Yates, Su Hongchang spoke. Master, can I enroll Xiao Kui in a cram school? Han Qian curled his lips and said. It's no use, send me to the set, and then you go and pick up Yates. How much saliva will I waste talking to you two? Su Hongchang chuckled. Kui Li lowered his head and looked at his fingers. He was probably still thinking about what Han Qian said. The more he thought about it, the more confused he became. After arriving at the crew hotel, Kui Li approached Han Qian and whispered after getting off the car. I haven't figured it out yet. What does our Binhai matter have to do with the capital? Han Qian took a deep breath and said helplessly. Because Lin Zongheng has some grudges with the Luo family in the capital. Then why not just kill Lin Zongheng? Can you think for a moment when you are talking? I want to kill him. Go and catch him. Kui Li suddenly understood and clapped his hands. I finally understand that what you asked me to do is because I can't catch him, so I have to wait for him to catch you. I understand, just say it. I've told you 4 or 5 times, don't talk to me from now on. You said you were a soldier before, right? Did you pass the exam? The exam doesn't test the relationship between the characters. Han Jian didn't want to talk anymore. When he walked into the set with Kui Li, Wu Qingxi let out a scream. Kui 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 Yan curls up. Everyone looked at Wu Qingxi with a strange look, and she was not surprised. On the night of the Mid-Autumn Festival Gala, Kui Li walked around in front of her countless times. Not to mention having plastic surgery, Wu Qingxi recognized him even when he turned into gray. That's a nightmare. It was the first time in my life that I was kidnapped, and it was the first time that I saw a living person die in front of my eyes. Toad, who was filming, was also stunned for a while, and then he was punched in the face by Weiju. Weiju said quickly. Toad. Why don't you guard against it? Toad covered the side of his face and bowed to the director to apologize. I'm sorry, director, please do it again. At this time, Wu Qingxi had already arrived in front of Han Qian, holding Han Qian's arm with both hands and looking at Kui Li, her eyes staring like two almonds, and then whispered. Little ancestor. Don't you cover up when you go out with a bomb. Han Qian smiled, pointed at the toad in the distance and whispered. Xiao Kui, do you know that guy? Kui Li nodded and Han Qian smiled. Go over and say hello. He is trying to commute his sentence. Then you will know how lucky you are. Go ahead. Kui Li nodded again, but as soon as he took a step, Wu Qingxi said in a low voice. You can't even say you're sorry. Kui Li turned his head and frowned. Have we met? This sentence was like a hammer hitting Wu Qingxi's head. She was a popular actress and one of the more important people in the party. Her white dress was very dazzling that night. But Han Qian didn't even look at it that night, but Wu Qingxi couldn't bear it. After all, Han Qian is used to beauties, but this Kui Li. Wu Qingxi pointed at her nose and gritted her teeth. Me. Wu Qingxi. The last of the three women who left that day. The one who walked in front of you. Kui Li tilted his head and looked confused, then looked at Han Qian. After a moment of silence, Kui Li whispered. Didn't we just go out with two that day? 3. 3. 2. 2. 2, just Nuan and Yan Qing. Wu Qingxi froze in place, and then she was so angry that she kept breathing heavily. Kui Li ignored this woman who was a little out of character and walked towards Weiju and Toad who were continuing to film the fight scene. Han Qian stretched out his hand and put it on Wu Qingxi's head, smiling. Why are you fussing with him about this? Isn't it just that he didn't see you? To be honest, I didn't notice you that night either. Don't touch me, don't talk. Ah. Wu Qingxi felt that her mentality was broken. Why should she be an artist? Because artists will be sought after by others. What do artists dislike the most? That is to be ignored, and it is ignored without any impression at all. At noon, everyone started to rest. Toad's mother and his wife came over to deliver food. Toad filmed here for free. Weiju paid Toad out of his own pocket, and Wu Qingxi would also be compensated. In addition, the food cooked by Mother Toad is in line with the director's taste. Every day, the meals of the protagonists are delivered by Mother Toad. Toad's mother was very enthusiastic when she saw Han Qian and kept picking up food for Han Qian. After a while, Han Qian's bowl was full. Then the aunt looked at Kui Li and whispered. This is the first time I've met this young man. I see that you are thin and tall. You should eat more. When you are young, you should eat well and work hard. You can't be like Zhang Gang. At first glance, you are a good boy and don't cause trouble. Puff. 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 Han Qian, Toad, and Yushasai sprayed rice in different directions. Is Kui Li a person who doesn't cause trouble? Kui Li smiled naively at her aunt. Don't cause trouble. Auntie is Korean, and the food you cook is delicious. Korea? Auntie will make you some kimchi tomorrow. When the words came out, the toad on the side frowned and curled his lips. When did you become a Korean stickman? Kui Li turned to look at Toad and smiled. Do we know each other? Toad laughed in anger. At this moment, Han Qian was extremely nervous. If Toad and Kui Li made a move, Han Qian really had no confidence that he could stop them. To be precise, there was no possibility of stopping them at all. After the meal, Toad's mother packed up her things and left. She was very satisfied to come over to see and talk to her son at noon every day. Auntie is gone. In the dressing room, Toad, Kui Li, Weiju, Han Qian, Wu Qingxi, and several makeup artists were there. Kui Li looked at Toad sitting in front of the dressing room with his arms folded and said calmly, "How are you doing in there?" Toad replied calmly, "How about I take you in to experience it?" Kui Li curled his lips and said, "What about the rest?" "No period, 20 years, at least 17 years. How about you?" "Now the sentence has been reduced to 12 years. I will try my best to keep it under 10 years. I guess it will be reduced a little after filming this movie, because I am the only one who surrendered. It's missing a little." Toad smiled at the makeup artist and said softly, "Can you stop for a moment? Please step back further, thank you." Toad was very polite, and the makeup artist quickly backed away. Toad punched Kui Li in the face. Kui Li wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. Han Qian and Weiju were stunned. Then when they were about to take action, Kui Li but he smiled. "I'm luckier than you. Even if you beat me to death today, let alone a punch, I won't fight back." Toad sneered after hearing this. "Atoning for Feng Lun? I don't owe him anything, and he doesn't owe me anything. I just want to do something to you." Kui Li turned his head to look at Han Qian and said softly, "Can I hit him?" Han Qian smiled bitterly. "What are you two doing?" "Toad, please calm down, there is nothing you can't talk about." Toad said calmly. "I'm not angry, I just saw an old acquaintance and said hello, Weiju. Do you want to continue filming this afternoon? I'm worried." "Shoot. Are you in the mood?" Weiju didn't want to miss this opportunity. Kui Li tilted his head and said, "What were you filming? Were you beaten violently that night? You were kicked off the second floor and almost beaten to death." Toad whispered to Wu Qingxi, "Can we add a scene? I want to beat him up." Wu Qingxi raised her hands in agreement.